I'm so excited to speak to our guest today. She's a nurse practitioner all the way from Missouri. She has been in the aesthetic industry for over 10 plus years. Please help me to introduce Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Tripp. As Jonathan mentioned, I've been in the aesthetic industry for over 10 years. I was a national traveler and trainer for one of a huge med spa chain. And since then, I have trained providers locally here in the St. Louis area. I also help still nationally train providers, and then I have my own clinic.
Wow, amazing. I'm excited to speak to you, Lauren, today because I have so many questions just based on that, what you just said.
Hi, my name is Jonathan McLean, and I'm the founder and CEO of McLean Aesthetics.
Welcome to the dark side.
Let's go.
So, Lauren, being in the industry for over 10 years, aesthetic industry, tell the audience maybe one tip that you've learned that could help a provider in their career?
Never stop learning. So constantly continuing education and cadaver courses are huge. Understand the anatomy, especially when we're doing aesthetics with facial anatomy. Cadaver courses, I do at least 1 or 2 a year.
Nice. Why cadaver courses? What are the importance in them?
It's important to understand the muscles of the face, the vessels, when you're doing fillers and you're injecting neurotoxins, one, to understand how everything's going to play a role, how they support each other, but also risk. Being safe. Safety is huge. And I think that's something that we lose sight of sometimes in this industry. And that is a concern. So understanding the anatomy is a major factor when you're being an injector, because there are risks and complications, and it's not something to take lightly because it can cause serious risk and adverse reactions though.
Yeah, no, I definitely can understand. I've heard that a lot in some of these previous interviews that I've did with other providers. And I wanted to ask you, definitely being in the industry for so long, how do you know what should you do prior to becoming an aesthetic injector to really prepare yourself to be the best?
So I think prior to becoming an aesthetic injector, I think it's important to understand that you're not just going to jump in this field and it's just going to be all it's going to be all fun and easy. There's a lot of time that you spend doing personal and professional growth. There's a lot of research that you have to do, investing time and money into advancing your skills, being coachable, being teachable, understanding that just because I say something and it goes this way doesn't necessarily mean that the next injector is going to agree. We do all kind of have our signature ways of doing things as you grow and you find things that work for you, but learning how to take the pearls from each thing that you're learning and applying them to provide safe techniques and safe treatments for people. But also, I think the biggest thing is understanding the whole face, like when we're looking at everything, or even the whole body. Not only looking at the outside, but understanding the inside. What's causing these things? Appreciating the person. Don't try to put a Band-Aid on it, because we want to help heal from the inside out.
Well, it's very interesting. I guess you got a lot of that training with different providers through like trainers and things of that nature, correct?
Yes, I've trained personally with some of the top injectors of the country, which they are amazing, and I still continue to follow them on social media, and going to different conferences each year, sitting at round tables and really picking each other's brains and understanding, like, okay, well, I might look at something like this, or I might look at something like that, but having that rationale and to support it, and really appreciating what each of us brings to the table. And then it goes back to always continuing to learn and technology changes, medicine changes. This is medicine. It's just a different form of medicine.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Now, being a trainer and being trained, what are some things that you can learn or like you can gain from being a trainer or being trained?
So, I'm sorry. So being a trainer and being trained, what can I gain? Is that
Let me set that question back up. Let me set that.
sorry?
You're good. You're good. All right. So, as being a trainer, what are some things that you gain in your career?
Being a trainer. So I've definitely gained I think personal and professional growth, learning how to adapt. I never saw myself as being a teacher, so to say. So being a trainer, you have to really understand people, understand where their level is, being open to constructive feedback. Not only do they have to receive feedback from me, but I have to be able to receive feedback from them as well. So that way I can improve. And then it's even more important for, as a trainer, for me to understand the anatomy and make sure that I'm teaching the most advanced skills, or I don't like to say best, but the most ideal techniques and things that we've learned over time, and keeping up to date with information. So that's the biggest thing, is trying to keep up to date with new research and new studies, and staying aligned with all of that.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Now, one of the biggest questions I get from providers, especially new providers, or even providers that are in like 2 to 3 years of experience, is should they go to a conference with a master trainer with tons of people and they're just watching them, or should they invest their money more in a one-on-one private trainer with a local master injector?
I think if they can do both, they need to do both.
Okay.
I think going to a conference is huge. Conferences, they bring so much information to you. So you have the business side, you have the staffing side, the front desk side, you have whether or not you're focused on fillers, because in some practices, someone might be focused more on neuromodulators, your wrinkle relaxers, and that's their specialty. And then there's other places that they might be focused more on fillers. So finding those topics and those subjects, because there's so many different seminars going on at the same time. So finding those that really speak to you and where you need to improve. So if I go to a conference, I'm not going to every session. I'm going to the ones that I feel that I need to have more improvement on. And you meet people from all over the country, all over the world. This last one I just went to, and 2 weeks ago down in Miami, was the first North American AMWC conference. And there were people from all over the world, amazing speakers, amazing injectors, functional medicine providers, which I also specialize in. And it was truly amazing conference. And I've been to several over the years, but I like this one because everyone had a little bit different like pearl to bring to the table.
How important is that global learning or that global perspective that you speak about?
I think it's important. I think different countries are they do a little bit more advanced stuff than we do in the US. And I think understanding techniques, and some of the top injectors are from other countries. Julie Horn, Dr. Pierce, they're all in other countries, and they bring a wealth of information to this aesthetic industry and are constantly teaching us. Dr. Rajani, he's always going to places globally and picking those brains and understanding, okay, well, what are they doing here? What might we expect to have come to the US in the next 3 to 5 years? Because sometimes I feel like we might be a little bit behind, or maybe they might be a little bit behind on something, and we might be able to provide information of what we're doing here and vice versa. But also staying ahead of what is to come is important, because then you know where to expect and what to keep on training.
For sure, for sure. Now you also focus on holistic wellness. Tell us a
Correct.
little bit about that.
So I had my own journey of health issue. About 5 years ago, they told me I was going to be paralyzed from the neck down, and there was nothing they could do about it. That I just had to accept it. And they found I went through multiple tests and had all these different specialists I saw. So I had I had a narrowing of the spinal canal at the neck, and I was having constant pain, numbness, weakness in my hands. I couldn't inject. And so I was having to wear gloves up to my elbows, was in constant pain. They told me eventually I was going to be paralyzed from the neck down. There was nothing they could do about it. And I was going to have surgery at some point. When I went and saw the surgeon, they said, yes, you're going to have surgery, but there's a 60% chance that you will come out of the surgery paralyzed. So I was not okay with that ratio. And so I went back to school and I got my certification in functional medicine, and I started to reverse my own illness. And I don't have pain. Most of the time I don't have pain. If I do, it's because of something I chose to incorporate in my lifestyle choice that I did. But I know where my flare-ups are. I understand my body, and I understand healing and peeling back the onion and peeling back the layers to get to the root cause of things. While there might still be a physical deformity, my process is, how do I keep that from that flaring up? How can I reverse that and not have to be on medications or not have to do surgical interventions? And how can I maintain my lifestyle?
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. Like you went back to school to learn how to fix yourself. How more inspiring is that? That's
Yeah,
great. That's super great. So you don't have to take any medication at all.
I don't. I do my IV therapy. I do my supplements based off of what I need, that I've found over time through. But no, I don't take medication. I mean, if I get a headache or something, I might take a Tylenol occasionally, but very rarely do I get a headache. Um, so, but I don't usually do medications. I try to do more holistic, natural approaches.
What are some things that the average person can do to kind of start educating themselves on it?
For aesthetics,
Well, I would say for like holistic medicine, or like the other things they can do holistically.
so I think the biggest thing, and I always tell my patients, that to watch the sugar. Watch the sugar. It's in everything. Watch the artificial stuff, the high fructose corn syrup, the glucose syrup. Um, Drink water. Like, you have to drink water. Cut all the other stuff out. I mean, if you want to have your occasional wine or alcoholic drink, or not alcoholic, but your drink for the week or whatnot, that's okay. But cut the soda out, cut the juices, cut the artificial dyes out. I personally am big on cutting dairy and gluten out because those create a lot of inflammation. Gluten's a big contributor. And that's like your breads, your pastas, all the good stuff, all the stuff that we love. But really, getting back to the basics, getting back to the roots, your fruits, your vegetables, your water. And I look at it, and the way I explain it to patients is that we have to look at our bodies as like a creek. And in the winter and the fall, all the leaves fall and all the mud's down there, and the creek's not looking great. It's just gunk and it's filled up. And when spring comes, all the grass starts to become green, the flowers start to bloom, the trees are blooming, the rain's coming in, and the water's flowing, and we're like, oh, that's beautiful. Same thing with our body. If we're filling it full of gunk over time, 5, 10, 20 years, what are we doing? We're not feeding it water. And it's a shame because a study, I think recently came out, there's either 1 in 8 or 1 in 4 kids by the age of 8 already have atherosclerosis. So they already have plaque buildup in their arteries, and they're already having hyperlipidemia, which is high cholesterol, by the time they're 8, because of the stuff that we're feeding them. And
Wow.
I feel like our diet in America it's horrible. And so we really have to get back to educating that and understanding, like, how did our grandparents feed? You know, like they were more active. They were outside exercising. They weren't on their computers sitting at home, not getting vitamin D, not soaking up the sun. And they were eating more fruits and vegetables because processed foods have become, it's everywhere.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Wow, that's amazing tips. Hope somebody can learn from that. I'm sure somebody will learn from what you just
I
said for
hope.
sure and take it away.
Yeah.
So you help patients, most of your patients you're helping from the inside out and the outside in.
I'm sorry.
Most of your patients you're helping from the inside out and the outside in.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. That's super great. Super great. Now I would love to know what are most patients in your area asking for as far as aesthetic services?
A lot of them are trying to age gracefully. So they are looking, a lot of times people are looking for more holistic options, but I always educate too that as we age, we start to have that volume loss in our mid face, and we start to create lines in our foreheads and our eyes. So I give them the options of what are those treatment options to restore that, to restore the volume loss, besides healing the inside. So a lot of that, also with me doing the functional medicine, I see a lot of people with pain, chronic illnesses, inflammation. So I'm addressing that. But as far as the aesthetic stuff, the lines, the wrinkles, acne is a big thing that I treat people with, and I have different modalities for that.
Nice, nice. Are you currently using semaglutide in your practice?
Semaglutide, I am
Yeah.
not using that in my practice. Um, it's a great medication for people, but I try to do more of lifestyle changes, and incorporate that and offer other alternatives and kind of address why is someone overweight instead of just giving the shot. I mean, it's a great option and I appreciate people who are offering it. I just have not decided to offer it in my practice at this time.
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand. For providers looking to gain more information on this industry, what are some conferences that they can attend?
Next year, the second annual AMWC one, which will be down in Miami, I definitely recommend that. There is the in June or July, I'm going to one out in Vegas. It's the Aesthetic Show. That's a big one. I think that one's a great one for providers because it hones in on the skills. Am Spa is a great one for like business owners. They do have a lot of great talks, and they have a lot of information with injectors, and most of them they will offer a cadaver course there at these shows. There's also, for continuing education, the Aesthetic Immersion show with Lori Robertson, which I've trained with her personally. She's amazing. But they have great information. Also, Patreon. There's a lot of great injectors on Patreon, which is it's a link, like an app, and you can log in and you can get different tips and stuff through those providers.
Nice, nice. And tell us, what are some trainings that they can attend as far as like some trainings that for providers?
So if they're already in practice, then I always encourage people to make sure that they're communicating with their reps, because the reps will always have local trainings, or working with the reps to bring trainers in. There's a lot of private trainers that the trainers that you see on social media, they will offer private trainings, like Sarah Berg. I've trained with her a few times. Gorgeous George, I've trained with him. Lori Robertson. The Injector Bunny, she has different personal trainings, and they'll list them too. Dr. Sadat, I've been to one of his trainings. He's amazing. He's from California, and he has cadaver courses and different training sessions that they produce, or they will list on their social media as to when they're going to be in a specific city. So I encourage providers to definitely follow them and see if one of those dates will work for them, and try to set that up.
Nice, nice. As a provider in this industry, what are some benefits that you love about this industry?
I love making people feel good about themselves. I love helping people. I love giving them options. And then my specialty when it comes to the aesthetic side of it is the full face rejuvenation. So restoring that volume loss, but providing a natural appearing look, not overdoing it. And so a lot of my clients are very grateful and happy for that, because it's night and day difference. So when you are addressing a lot of volume loss and different things of the skin and understanding the layers, so understanding the skin, the bone structure, the muscle, the fat, all of that, and creating a robust treatment plan. And I always tell people this isn't a one night stand. Like we're going to be together for the next year, at least, if not a lifetime. And these are the steps that we're going to do to take you there.
So you're setting those expectations prior to them even starting the journey with you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How do you set expectations with patients that maybe do want the overfilled look that you don't offer?
Education. So educating them and telling, and I think it's important, like when, I don't know if people really want an overfilled look. But I think it's important of pointing out like their highlights and saying, you have great this. What are you trying, really understand what are they trying to accomplish? Because what they think they might need is not what they need. It could be something completely different. And that's where you have to understand, like, what tools do you have in your toolbox and how can you bring that to those clients? And then understanding the anatomy of the face or the body and the structure. And it could be that they're not happy with something down here, but is this really going to fix it? Or do we need to tax the lower face? So there's just understanding your options that you have, and staying with the advanced skills. But they usually will, I mean, I wouldn't say I've never had anyone not appreciate it, but so I would say usually, but they can appreciate when you're like, no, that's not the route to go. Let's go here. And this is why we should do that.
Yeah, yeah, I really do believe what you just said, like transparency and education, because a lot of people are just now joining this industry and they don't know what they need or what they want, like you said.
Right.
So being the expert and kind of passing it down.
Right. And it's just like anytime, like people who are new and they come in, they're like, I want to age gracefully. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about tax, and we use the term Botox so generically. And they're like, oh no, I don't, like, I will never do Botox. And I'm always like, well, why? Why wouldn't you do that? What's the notion that you've gotten out of it that you think it's so bad? And then when I educate them on it and to say, it's not going to like hurt you, it's not going to do anything. And if you don't like it, then you just stop doing it. And what did you do? You help prevent those lines from being created for the last 4 months. And they can appreciate that. So it's just getting over those, I don't know the word for it. The fears that people have and the things that they may have seen on social media, and they don't know, then no, that's not what really caused that. Or this could also be what caused that. And here's why.
Yeah, no, definitely. Is there any key opinion leaders in the industry that you would suggest for the audience to follow or to look up and learn from?
I think pretty much everyone I mentioned earlier. So Dr. Sadat, Lori Robertson, Gorgeous George, the my mind just went blank. Sarah Berg, she's amazing. Julie Jubilant, I think is how her social media is on Instagram. She's amazing. I've been to her sessions and listened to her speak, and she's very informative, and she's written different papers and stuff, and she looks at a lot of complications. Dr. Surik, he's really great. Dr. Tim Pierce, the Aesthetic Injector. My mind's going blank right now. I can't remember her name. But that's where I would start. And then I would build on that.
Nice, nice. I'm gonna list all those below so everybody can follow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lauren, for joining me, speaking more about the aesthetic industry. Tell everybody where they can find you and what you got planned next.
So I'm located in New Melle. It's about 30 minutes northwest of St. Louis. So near St. Charles, Winsville, Missouri. Great little office. And right now we're offering lasers. So we have a laser, we have laser hair removal, we have IV therapy, we have red light therapy, which is huge. We're the second in the state of Missouri that has the light stim bed. So I love it because it helps with inflammation. Obviously we do the aesthetics, but what to expect next? I always tell my reps, I'm like, I don't know. I'm always looking for new technology and looking for new things, and another laser probably, maybe body contouring next year, end of the year. So just stay tuned. We're always advancing and growing, and hopefully next year we will be opening another location.
Awesome. Sounds good. And until next time, bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.